everybody, my name is Keith Tramper. I'm excited to be a part of Camp Legend today, so thanks for having me. I'm an educational technology consultant, and I work at Kent ISD, which is short for Kent Intermediate School District. Essentially what I get to do is I get to work with educators and students all around Kent County and sometimes around the state in how to incorporate technology into their classrooms. So we could do anything from building a Google Classroom, building a website, to digital citizenship. And I understand that one of the things that you're doing today is coding. So I'm excited because that's one of my favorite things to teach. I always start out when I do any kind of lesson in the classroom by asking one question. And I want to ask it to you today too. And that question is, what do you think is smarter, a human or a computer? I'll give you just a minute to pause and think about that. So feel free to pause the video just to think about why you think a computer or a human is smarter. So what'd you think? A computer, a human? Well, all the research that I've done shows that the best artificial intelligence that we have right now is about as smart as a 4-year-old. I know, hard to believe. So it's weird because when we go out to Google and we search for the answer to anything, it feels like Google and the internet and computers are very smart, right? But the reality is a human had to code how Google was going to work, and it also had to put that information out there onto the internet. So even though it feels like computers are smart, it feels that way because humans were the ones that put that information out there. So when you learn to code and you learn how to design computer programs, you're really powerful and you're really building a skill that lets you influence the world. So in your Camp Legend activities today, you got to practice some coding, and you probably learned a lot and had a little bit of fun along the way. My guess is that you had some time making characters maybe dance around the screen, go around and solve problems, go through a maze, or even made some artwork. But I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about robots. And what I like about robots is that they bring coding to life. No longer are you coding things to move around your screen, you're actually taking something and moving it around in real life. Okay, so in my job, I get to work with all kinds of different robots. Sometimes we pull out our drones that you can program little drones to fly around. Sometimes we work with some robots. So I grabbed a few just from our collection just to show you today. And why don't I take a second and show them to you? So I'll start with the smallest one here. This guy is called Ozobot. You may have seen it before. It's a very simple robot. It's got some wheels on the bottom and a little bit of sensors around it. But what it's got on the bottom here is a color sensor. So you program this robot to follow color, meaning you can take a Sharpie and draw on some paper and it will follow that Sharpie, and different colors make it do different things. So pretty cool, tiny little robot. The next one is a Sphero. You may have seen this too. The Sphero is something that can be kind of remote controlled, like a RC car, if you've ever heard of that. But inside of it, it's got all these little gears that let it move around. So you can program this to do all kinds of tricks and follow different paths too. So that's Sphero. Let me show you, this one doesn't look quite like a robot at first. This is a microbit. Okay. It's a microprocessor, so it's a little tiny computer. You can see if you look closely, there's some buttons and some LEDs on it. LEDs are like lights. It's like the screen that you might be looking at right now. But you can program this to do all kinds of different things, and if you get really into it, you can build some things like this car that we have at the ISD that you can then take your microbit, program it, and then plug it in, if I can get it, press some buttons, and this guy will start moving and following the directions that you programmed it to do. Okay, so that's microbit. And the one I'm going to show you today is called Dash. Dash is one of my favorite robots. He's got some wheels on the bottom. Okay, he's got an eyeball, makes him look kind of fun. Okay, he's got some buttons and some ears, lights all over him. Even on the back, you can see he's got some little sensors that are looking in front of and behind him. Okay, but you can take robots to do all kinds of things, just like you were doing with your coding. So why don't I take you outside in my driveway, and I'm going to show you one of the things that we could make Dash do. In my driveway now, I've outfitted Dash with a little apparatus that's going to help us draw with chalk on the driveway. He's been drawing here for like 5 minutes or so. Let me show you the code that I made. It's real simple. I've just got to start and then a little repeat forever. So it's going to keep doing the same pattern over and over again. And here he's doing just a little turn and then he's moving forward. So let's take a look at what he's drawing. You can kind of see him making a pattern. It sort of looks like a flower. I don't know, you can kind of interpret it however you want it to. But this is just an example of how we could use a robot to help us make some art. Oh, well, I hope you liked my quick art demo there with Dash. I just want to point out, like, just like what you saw in how to build a sandcastle, you can use robots to do all kinds of stuff. And humans, right now, some of the biggest technologies they're using robots for are creating autonomous vehicles that can drive themselves, launching rockets into space, right? Tracking the spread of disease, that's obviously a big topic right now. And then using drones to even fertilize crops, right? So they've got these drones that will fly over fields and recognize parts of the crops that aren't doing very well, and they'll fertilize them with exactly the right kind of fertilizer. It's pretty amazing technology. So robots can do a lot less work in a lot less time, and they often they don't get tired, right? And they don't make mistakes like humans do as much. So when we use them right, we can use robots to solve all kinds of big problems. And when you learn to code, you learn to create solutions to these big problems, and that is what makes you powerful. So if you had a robot, what would you program it to do? I encourage you to make a prototype of a robot that could solve a problem for you or your community. What would it look like? What would it do? How would it solve your problem? And what other problems would it solve along the way? Thanks for letting me stop by Camp Legend today. I hope you had some fun. Hope you learned something new. Keep creating, keep having fun, and have a great summer. Bye.